Good morning, Veracity Nation. This is your market outlook from the 5th until the 9th of October. Now, we get this started off with AUDUSD. Now, what we can see here is that AUDUSD had a nice push down and it kind of bottomed out at the bottom here. Then we saw a push up to these levels here. So this pullback actually broke the 50 EMA, and you can see it actually went back to previous levels of structure. So this can play out two ways this week. We can see a further push down, breaking these lower lows which we've already created, or we could see a nice push up again. And if we do that, we'll probably expect a nice pullback into these levels, and then we can expect it to continue pushing up, breaking some of these levels here, which it has already created. So we're going to have to wait and see how this plays out this week. We'll probably only start seeing some action either late Monday or early Tuesday. So this is something to keep an eye out on. Okay, next one is Pound USD. Again, we saw a nice push down with Pound USD. It created some structure here. It pulled back, and we actually saw it come back into that structure. I would have liked to see it continue making lower lows here, but we can see that it kind of had a bit of resistance here. So as we can see, it's actually pushed up. Another way we could look at this for this week is that we could actually look at some of these levels here. If it pushes above here, we can expect to see again a pullback into these levels. And once we get some confirmation of that pullback, we can expect it to go higher. Another way it can play out, again, is we could actually see it break these levels. And if it does that, again, we want to see a nice pushback into these levels and a continuation to the downside. Okay, another option we could see playing out this week, which is also not off the tables, is we could actually see, let me clear this up a bit here. We could actually start to see the form of a range, where we could actually see it just playing between these two levels here. And if we see a range is starting to form, very easy trades. All we could do is wait for it to get to these levels, see if it breaks out or not. And if we see rejection at these levels, we could sell when it's coming to the downside and buy when it's going to the upside until we see a breakout of one of these. Okay, next one, EURCAD. An interesting pair because we could already start to see a range was actually forming here. And then come Friday, with some of the NFP news, it actually broke out of this range. And we were expecting it to maybe come back to these levels and continue back up. But as you can see, it actually came back into the range with quite an aggressive bar. So again, this week, we would actually expect a play where we are seeing a range-bound market between these two levels. And all we have to do here is maybe wait for a breakout to the upside or the downside and wait for confirmation for entries, and then we can actually get into that trade. Now, one trade I am looking at right now is Pound JPY. So we saw a nice push to the downside. The price has been below the EMA for quite some time now. But if you look very closely, you could actually see a head and shoulders formation starting to form. All right, so if I was to just draw a shoulder here, you can see this is your head. It's come back to this level here. So now we're expecting, let me just adjust this shoulder here. So you've seen some form of head and shoulders pattern being created there. So what we could expect is it shooting to the upside. If the pattern does fail, another thing we could be looking at, again, is downside movement, coming back into these structures and then continuing down. But for right now, I am actually looking for a trade to the upside on this right shoulder formation. Okay, guys, that's it. Hope you've enjoyed this short market outlook for the week. And I hope you guys have a profitable week trading. And we will see you next week for another market outlook for the week.